Hey there YouTube, welcome to Big Mike Beard Wisdom. So today I've got some work I need to do on the Escalade, and it's kind of one of those things where it gives me a moment to talk about like wheel upgrades. And the Escalade's got pretty big wheels, so it's kind of one of those things where if you look at the wheels on the Escalade, you look at the wheels on the G8, the G8's wheels are obviously smaller, but the sidewall looks almost like it's the same size. And it's just one of those things where for me, I like an SUV or a truck to have a little bit more sidewall in case you wind up hitting something. So you go sliding around in the wintertime, hit a curb. You go driving around somewhere like Chicago and hit a pothole that'll swallow a car. And tire size wise, the Escalade's got 285/45 R22, so 285 millimeter width, 45% aspect ratio, so that's sidewall compared to the width. So sidewall should be less than half of the width of the tire. And then R22, meaning that the rim is a 22-inch rim. Then on the G8 is 245/45 R18s. So an 18-inch wheel used to be pretty big back in the day. Now pretty much everything's coming with 18s or bigger. But with that 245 millimeter width and that 45 aspect ratio, it's a smaller sidewall. So tape measure wise, put it right against the rim. Roughly about 4 inches. G8, put it right against the rim. Man, about 3.25 maybe. So visually wise, they may look similar, but essentially they're not. And for me, trying to set up a SUV to be a little bit more like a sports car with the wheels and tire combinations can be kind of rough because you're going to trade off a lot. So you're going to really feel any kind of bumps. And then for the Escalade, you're really going to notice how heavy those wheels are. Now to give you something to compare it against, here's my 2001-ish Silverado. And I've got 2010 Silverado wheels on it. And then I've got a little bit different tire size on it, so like a Titan tire size. I actually want to be in a little bit bigger and cheaper. So these are 265/70 R18s. So 18-inch rim, so basically the same size-ish rim in diameter as the G8, but a 70% sidewall. So the sidewall is almost as wide as the tire. And then it's a 265, so the funny in-between size of the 285 and the 245. And for me, I much prefer a truck or an SUV with this kind of tire. So I'm not a super tall sidewall kind of guy. I do like a little bit of a rim, mostly because I like to upgrade brakes, and I like the brakes and the wheels to be compatible. So I like a little bit extra brake underneath. For the upgrade that I did on this one, I had to run bigger brakes. So that rotor and caliper combo, you have to run a 17 or larger. So you can kind of see, you can like barely see the caliper. Then with the G8, you can also see that you see the caliper a little bit easier. And on the Escalade, you know, the brakes are teeny tiny. But really, the front brakes on my truck and the front brakes on the Escalade are the same brakes. So they're both 13-inch rotors, and they're both dual piston calipers, and they're the exact same parts. Real quick, I'm going to weigh this tire and compare it to this one, and we'll see what the difference is. And then standing up next to each other, these two are fairly comparable in size. So obviously the truck tires 265, the Escalade's tire is wider, 285, but height wise they're pretty similar as I'm holding them right here. It does feel like the truck side's just a touch taller But let's see how much they weigh. And I'm willing to bet the Escalade one's going to be pretty crazy compared to the tall tire one. On my engine hoist, I've got my little crane gauge, and then we're holding the ratchet strap up. Ratchet strap weighs 1.7 pounds. So probably barely not much of anything compared to these wheels and tires. Alright, so the Escalade rim's in the air, and then these are the Bridgestone Dueler Alenzas. We're weighing in at 91.18. That's a lot. So 91.2 pounds. Probably, you know, minus the ratchet strap though, would be just short of 90 pounds. That's a heavy wheel and tire. And then 18-inch, 2010-ish Silverado wheels. Slightly oversized with hand-cooked Dynapro HT tires on it. Weighing in at 71.50. So just a touch under 70 minus the ratchet strap. That's quite a difference. That's 20 pounds. And that 20-pound difference is on a Escalade tire that's fairly well worn compared to the Silverado tire that's not. So these are still fairly new. These are obviously worn much more. Now let's get into what that means. So if you've got a truck or an SUV that has a stock size wheel and tire package, you may need to upgrade your brakes in order to help stop. Once you go to a bigger wheel and tire package, so doing something very similar to what I did in this situation, where I upgraded the stock 2000 brakes up to later model years for larger sizes. So my truck should more than handle the braking capability needed to go to the bigger, heavier wheel and tire. But if you don't do it, when you go to stop, you'll travel farther than you expected before actually coming to a stop. You may overheat your brakes. The next thing is that wheel and tire combination is heavy and you've got to turn it. So as you're going down the road, you're going to use a little bit more power. You're going to use a little bit more gas or diesel or electric power as you're traveling. So having a heavier wheel and tire combination could reduce your overall range you can go because it's going to hurt your fuel mileage. And then also, like your off the line launches and stuff like that. So, you know, for anyone that like red light races, none of us do that, right? It's going to be one of those situations where it's going to cost you power. So you're going to be a little bit slower, braking's not going to be as good, and you're going to burn more fuel having the bigger, heavier wheels and tires. Not to mention, because they're heavier, whenever you hit a bump, instead of hitting a bump and then having 70 pounds go up, you now have 90 pounds going up, and you're going to feel those bumps more. So if you're looking at it aesthetic wise, yeah, they might look kind of cool. It does make that rear brake look really big out there. But for me, I'm a function over form kind of guy. I'd rather have nice and smooth, a little bit more power, a little bit more catch you off the line, a little shorter stopping distance than the big old wheels and tires, or the heavy ones. Plus, if you hit ice, go slide into a curb, do you want to try and replace a 22-inch rim? Or do you want to think that maybe that 18-inch tire will have taken the hit, and the tire maybe takes the damage, and the rim will be fine? So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll check you next time. Oh, you do almost look like you belong there, don't you? Nope, you're going back. Oh, and then with them being heavy too, you don't really want to lay them down, because then you got to pick them back up.